Hi, my name is Michael Liu, the General Manager and the Lead Programmer of Blue's Game Studio. Here, I proudly present the game demo of our game Recur. Recur is a first-person narrative game with a creative gameplay design that combines Tetris with roguelike deck-building combat. In this game, you will play a mysterious character who is trapped in a recurring art museum. Through the explorations and the interesting combats, you will solve your own mystery of your identity and why you're trapped in this museum. And right now, without further ado, let me introduce you to the game Recur, and I hope you guys like it. Thanks. I will be giving some comments throughout the gameplay so that solve some confusion. But most of the time I will remain silent and let you enjoy the narrative and the gameplay of it. Enjoy. Here we actually enter the combat. As you can see, the basic tutorial design is teaching you how to build Tetris. And unlike traditional Tetris, in this game the player has to select which blocks they want to use next to eliminate one line. Right now, the other introduce you to open the cockpit, which is basically a backpack system that allows you to see all the consumables, all the stickers, and all the important items. The stickers is an interesting design that can be used to stick one sticker on one specific location of the block, like here. And if you eliminate the block which has a sticker on it, and if the line contains it, it will give an additional buff to you or the target that you are combating. And the way to enter combat in this game is to use E to prepare the camera, and use left click to shoot a photo, and now you enter the combat. In the combat, you see that like on the left side, it is your Tetris interface, and on the right side is the weapon that you're using. And in this demo, the weapon that we give the player is a long sword. And because it is time-based, it means that like when the time below the enemy, the bar is filled, it will attack you. And your HP is being showed on the top side of your interface, of your Tetris interface. When you successfully fill a line, it will be compiled into an action bar. And using the action bar, the player will execute the actions that is targeting the player or the enemy. For example, attack will hit the enemy, and parry and heal will heal yourself and make effects towards you. And also using consumables, you can add health to yourself, and there are other additional effects. Now, the basic tutorial level is being done, and right now, the player actually enters the first level. Because the player beat Perseus, who is a Greek god with a special traversal tool, right now the player can sprint. And he enters a exhibition hall with a art style that resembles to Gustav Klimt's The Bride. And also inside, there's a church with some bride statues. As the player enters the church, the combat begins. These brides will chase you, and when they hit you, your HP will decrease, and after a certain number, you will have to restart the gameplay. And also, as you see, the exhibition hall turns really dull. And when a spotlight shines on you, your location will be exposed and all the brides will chase you. But also, when the bride that contains the key is being shined, it will turn golden like that. And now you enter the combat with the bride that has the key. After defeating the bride with the key, you can have the key to unlock the exhibition hall's door, and you can exit this level. Here, the Headless Bride has a special effect that turns some of your action blocks to gray. And when they're being turned to gray, it means that like it will have no effect. But you still have to put it inside your line, so it will not block your way. And also, interestingly, the value of the actions that you do, for example, how much damage you dealt to the bride, is dependent on how much block you eliminate in one line. One special effect of Long Sword is that when you eliminate 4 rows at a time and it contains 4 eye blocks, which is the long one, it will trigger the ultimate of this weapon, and it will dealt a really high damage towards the enemies, and it's basically one kill. See, right now I wanted to use the ultimate, and if you will see, and as you will see in later times, the bride will just be killed in one instance. Like that, 30 damage at a time. Interestingly, because we're using the mechanics of a camera, if you take a picture of the enemy at the back, it will weaken the enemy by a lot, give you an additional buff and an advantage in combat. The player right now with the key just exit the hall, and he will enter the next level of this game. The gallery is basically designed as a transition place for the transition space for the player. All of these paintings and all of the design of the layout has a sort of metaphor towards what is the identity of the player itself. And it also hints what the next space is gonna be. Here, we introduce another really innovative gameplay. In traditional roguelike games like Slay the Spire, you choose which route you're gonna take by just clicking where you want to go inside the map. But here, we are actually using Tetris to build bridges between these islands. In that way, we substitute the way that the traditional player in roguelike games and how they construct their own path. And in the cycle of like building bridges between terminals and between islands and islands, we construct the whole gameplay of the roguelike exploration wise, like deck building combat. And and in a route you will encounter different kinds of enemies, and there will be different islands with healing terminals or treasure terminals, just like any others roguelike games in the market. And based on your strategy and how the future layouts of this island is gonna be, you can choose which terminal you're gonna start from and which island you're gonna use to build the future bridges. And also, as we introduce the mechanism of you can shoot a picture at the back of the enemy to weaken it, in this case, you probably won't want to create a loop using the bridge so that you can circle at the back of the enemy and take a picture of them. And that will give you a huge advantage. But there's also an interesting gameplay design that we want the player to think of and create their own ways of playing this game. In terms of gameplay design, we also wanted to introduce some interesting mechanism that relates with Tetris. For example, in this mockingbird combat, as we encounter the humming of the mockingbird, it will pause all of your action blocks, so you cannot rotate it, move it, or do anything with the block. And that is how we create a connection between enemy design and your actual gameplay. And at each final level, there will be like a boss fight. And here, the boss that we encounter is Artemis. Each boss has their specific combat style and interesting skill design that will change how you're gonna play this game. For example, here, because Artemis is an enemy with a really high hit point, I wanted to layer up 4 layers of this block in a long time, in sacrifice of me taking some damage. However, in that case, I can use an ultimate of the longsword and give like a one-punch attack towards Artemis. See that I saved one of the long eye block here so that I can use it in the future. And right now, I'm going to use the ultimate. And now, as we defeated Artemis, we enter the final chapter of this demo. Here, it is the final boss, Daedalus, with 100 HP, and you really have to strategize your combat style. Here, I choose my preferred combat style of trying to hit the ultimate at the time, but depends on which actual weapon you have when you actually play in the game, you might have different strategies. Say longsword here is some kind of weapon that they want to encourage you to eliminate 4 rows at a time. But for a quick combat weapon like a revolver or like a small sword, it might encourage you to eliminate the lines one at a time. So that gives depth into our combat design, and we really think it is a really interesting gameplay that we want to innovate and show it to the world. Now we successfully defeated Daedalus, and we enter a final space of a Kandinsky painting. We use Kandinsky's painting called Yellow, Red, Blue as our inspiration. And here the player has magnetic boots that enables the player to jump around these obstacles that we created. Because we sort of three-dimensionalized the 2D painting, it looks really bizarre, but also it has some kind of beauty in it. And that is something that we want to try in the future, of making more art and makes them real, so that you can enter a painting, a sculpture, or an installation that an artist did when they're making their art. Right now, you're trying to find your way out towards the door that is at the end of the painting. And ta-da, you made it. And that concludes the whole gameplay demo of Recur, and thank you so much for watching. Right now, I want to thank all of the team members of this game that help us make the dream come true. And I also want to attract more like-minded people to join this project and see where we can take this project further in 1 or 2 years' time. Thank you so much, and we'll probably see you again. My name is Michael. Thanks.